management you said with which you disagree, please call us during the program in order to help us balance comments. And now, Duncan, McCollum Wellness Radio.
When I had to make a change, you know the things just weren't right. I looked around for someone else to blame. I searched and I searched and I reached down inside. And I knew when I found there's a light I can hide. I can be free, I can be free, I can rise above, I can be free, I can be free, I will rise above.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you from McCollum Wellness Radio, KSCO, Santa Cruz. And you know, what a beautiful day it is. What a beautiful world it is. What a beautiful life it is. You know, it's there's so much going on right now worldwide. And, you know, the Tom Quinn Show is always a great eye-opening show to let us know some of the stuff we wouldn't find out on our own. The thing I really want to focus on today, though, is our mind. You know, our mind, I in the Facebook thing, I said the mind's a terrible thing unless you know how to use it. So we are basically the effect of our own thoughts. And we can alter our thoughts. We can use them to entrap us, or we can use them to allow us to expand beyond all imagination. And it is about imagination. This morning, I watched several clips about Nikola Tesla, and it was really interesting to see his life and how he ended up at the end. But this guy, this man who actually created AC current, and the one that is, you know, allowed his inventions have allowed us to live the comforts that we do live. But one thing that was very interesting is that he said at an early age, he could do all of his inventions in his mind 100% with, and then when he put them into the real world, they work perfectly. He had that ability to perceive an illusion and put that illusion into the physical universe. And so what is imagination? What is illusion? What is delusion? And I was reading some other information about that. And I think what's really important, as you know, I'm writing my 7th book right now. It's called New Hope for ... I'll spill the beans when I'm closer to having it done. But I remember as a little kid, I was about 3.5, 4 years old, playing out in front of our house in Berkeley, huge sycamore tree. And it was in between the sidewalk and the street was a little island. And I would play in that little island with a little dinky matchbook car that my brother had given me, my older brother. And I remember this one day, it was a summer day, so I could smell all of the elements of the Berkeley environment, the hills, the ocean, the sycamore tree starting to dry, the dirt, the fresh cut lawns of the day, even the pavement. And I was in a daydream, or was I? I was in some kind of world that was not of where I was. It was amazing. You know, I mean, I could create anything at that moment. I had this huge imagination, or I was tapping into something I knew not what of. But it was a place that I think a lot of us have experienced, touched on, almost found at one point, and then tried to get it back, and we couldn't quite duplicate that sensation again or that feeling again. And I think that as I look at my history, all the drugs I took earlier on because of my broken back and becoming, addicted to medication to try to handle the pain, I know that as I was, consuming those kind of drugs, it got to a point where I was trying to recreate the feeling of the first time I done that drug, and I could never reach it again. And so I was always reaching, always reaching, always reaching. And I think this is one of the elements of addiction, that you're trying to recreate that. And, the mind can be a dangerous thing, because I remembered feeling this euphoria as a little kid sitting in front of that big sycamore tree. And then my mother came out and said, it's time for lunch. And everything went away. I think my body was surging with serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin at the time. I was in a field of bliss, and the world was huge. So what happens to us as we get older and we reach and we get slapped, we reach, we get slapped, we reach, we get slapped. Pretty soon our world is smaller and smaller and smaller. What allows one person to create a huge empire in one area of his life, but be a total failure in another? Maybe he's a successful businessman, but has failed at love and marriage many times. Maybe he's a great businessman, but has no friends because he's not likable. So anyway, I take a look at Nikola Tesla, and kind of some of the thought processes that went through my brain this morning, or through my mind, is we have this, our own world, our own beingness, our own universe that is outside of the realm of the physical one. It's our imagination. It's our ability as a spiritual being to just perceive and conceive and allow our mind to imagine amazing things. And then if we're clever enough and we have the tools in the physical universe, we can create them in the physical universe. This is what inventors do. This is what Tesla does. This is the thing, just as interesting. I was walking in Home Depot the other day looking for something, and the person I was with pointed out these kind of foam triangular things that you stick in your rain gutters, and they stay in the rain gutters and stop them from getting filled up. Well, who thought that up? And it was thought up, and it was created first in our mind and then put into the physical universe. So what I want to kind of touch on today is what allows us to create our lives. How do we limit ourselves? When did that illusion die that we felt that we could achieve anything? What prompted us, or what experiences in our life stopped us from reaching? Even in elementary school, or any of those, early days where you were racing against a friend and he was faster than you, or the girls liked somebody more than you, or something along that line. The girl you liked didn't like you, and vice versa. These are things where we build up in our imagination this feeling that will actually cause the endocrine system in our body to secrete serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin, all of the feel-good transmitters. And I have a friend actually that's able to create them at will. She's pretty amazing. She's written a few books. One's called Chronic Pleasure, and it's amazing what she is able to do in her life. But what is it that we can do today to change our life? I mean, right now, we are either free or we're slaves. either degree, one degree or another. We have freedoms, but we also are the slaves of our entrapments. And the one definition of freedom is being able to create, dream, have illusions in the physical universe, time, space, olfactory or smell, sight, and be able to have these create illusions that you can go out and pursue. And as I'm writing my 7th book, which is actually my 9th, but 2 others aren't finished yet, you know, and I'm sitting there in the morning, and my mind just comes to me where I'm going with these books. But it wasn't anywhere before. I had to have that illusion. I had to have a goal of some place I'm trying to get, or something that I'm trying to put out, so that my mind would solve that problem, because the mind is there to pose and solve problems. So one of the freedoms you have is create big problems for yourself, so your mind can resolve them and go after the pursuit of happiness. I think a lot of times people just don't dream anymore. They get up, they have food, they watch TV, they go to work, they go to bed, but it's all input going into them, and there's not that chance for them to create an output. They can't create that illusion for themselves. So there's just some tricks that you can do, and I'm going to try to go into some of the things that I do in my life to help me. There's also things that trap me, and if I can pinpoint them and share them with you, maybe you have your own things that stick you to the physical universe. Because if it wasn't for dreaming, we'd be living in the Stone Age, which some people might say that'd be better than it is now, and maybe it would or wouldn't. But regardless, creation, the joy of creating, is something that we all need to experience more. Just think about a time when you finished something. You made a model when you were a kid. You painted a picture. You fixed a project in your house. How good you felt to have accomplished that. Sometimes you can remember the day, what the air felt like, what it smelled like, the feel of that project in your hand, and it created joy, unless it was a bad thing you created, which we've all done too. But I think that when we look at the freedoms, freedom is the ability to dream. It's the ability to have your illusions create goals for you, whether they're physical, and whether there's something that's tangible. I was thinking about a place where I have a little property, and this morning I'm imagining what it will take to put a cabin up there. Right now I have to go up and I have to clear some trees away, some small trees away from the electrical poles, and we're going to leave all the large oaks. I have to get a driveway down to the flat area where we want to construct this thing. I have to get a septic tank put in there. And then I have to design the cabin. Well, all of that stuff is going on in my mind. I've done all that. I've walked through those steps several times in my own universe. Now I got to just create it in the physical universe. But if I don't have the dream first, or the thought first, I will never do that. So I guess before I take my first break here, my take-home message at the beginning is, what is your dream? What is your goal? What haven't you accomplished that you'd like to? Start with small ones, or recreate the big ones, dust them off, and then find a roadmap to get you where you want to go. If you think about Hawaii and you get on a boat and you start sailing west, but you don't have a map, you'll never get there. So first you need a goal, then you need a map. And your mind is an amazing thing. It will figure out how to get there, especially if you use your imagination, but also you use the tools of what's already happened in the universe. And you take a look at the thing, step-by-step procedures that will get you where you want to go. So think about a goal that you want to accomplish. And I'm going to take my first break. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Thanks.
This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I would like you to listen to a couple testimonials from my patients about our new TRT machine. You should come try it, but here's what they have to say.
Hi, I'm Lauren Spencer, a local realtor. Lately, I've had trouble with my feet, and I'm an avid walker, avid biker, avid golfer, and my feet were aching all the time. And I tried Duncan's TRT machine, which is an amazing stem cell machine that rejuvenates the cells. And my feet, I've had like 3 or 4 sessions with the machine, and my feet are like new, no aches, no pains. It's a miracle.
Awesome.
Originally, I heard about it on the radio, and I was a little apprehensive, but I came in and got the treatment, and miraculously, I mean, immediately I got relief. And we're talking about 3 years of 24/7 neuropathy, all kinds of pain, medical doctors, and in one treatment, it changed my life. I mean, it gave my life back because I was able to function and do things and not be in excruciating pain and get some sleep. And I'm going to continue to come back, and I highly recommend it to anyone.
So call today for your $49 introductory special on the TRT machine to see if it works for you. Call 831-459-9990. 831-459-9990. McCollum Family Chiropractic.
You will see it will make a better road. You search and you search and you reach down inside.
Okay, Duncan McCollum back again. That was Steve Thunderbird's song, You Can Be Free, sung by Tony Lindsay. You can find it on Spotify or anywhere else. Thunderbird with a B-U-R-G. Great guy, good friend of mine. Got some great music up there. So we've been talking about creating your future, really. You know, again, I was listening to some stuff about Tesla today, and what an amazing guy he was, how he would conceive of an idea in his mind, and he would put the thing together so completely that when he went to put it in the physical universe, it worked perfectly every time. So the mind is an amazing thing. And if you use it correctly, you are going to have amazing results. Today, we have freedoms, and basically we can either be a slave or free. Unfortunately, right, wrong, or indifferent, the last 2 years have created a lot of slave type of situations because we've been the effect of something. And many, many people have been afraid to reach and afraid to do anything. They've been basically held captive. For months, we couldn't leave our house. We had to wear masks, those people that were in that arena. But regardless, it created this effect of being chased by a tiger you couldn't see, feel, touch, taste, or even hear. And it made us shrink. It shrunk us as spiritual beings. It stopped our dreaming because we wouldn't want to reach out and get chomped on by this invisible tiger. So I think it's important to take a look at what allows people to succeed in one area of their life and then perhaps not succeed in another area of their life. Or many areas they're just kind of barely getting by. I think that so many people have lost the ability to dream. I remember in school, quit daydreaming, quit looking out the window. Well, you know, some of those dreams created amazing lives for people because they had an imagination, they used their imagination. I think it's important right now for anybody out there that's listening who would care to take a look at different areas of our life. You know, how are you doing financially? I think we've been taught to focus on that to such an extreme that we forget about the other parts of our lives that are so important, and we don't give them enough of our own importance. And health is one of them. You know, there's something called your financial legacy. What are you leaving your kids? And a lot of us came from the greatest generation And a lot of our parents were able to leave the family something or some not. And we've always been taught to, go to school, get a job, work hard, put away for the future. But what's happening right now is so many of the people, especially in the United States, are so infirmed as they grow old that all of that legacy money is being used to pay for their health issues. I think 80% of all bankruptcies in the United States occur because of health-related issues. This is a Harvard study you can look up. 80% of all bankruptcies in the United States are medically related bankruptcies. 70% of those people who go bankrupt, 70% of the 80% have health insurance. And over 50% of them had a college education. So if you take a look at those statistics, they're not very good. Not only worrying about the bankruptcy or not, but how about what your future is with your family and your children? I just see so many patients that come in and go, well, I'm taking care of my mom or my dad, or, we can't afford to put them in a nursing home. So they're living with us, and, they're barely there. Sometimes they recognize me, sometimes not. They're so sick and so painful. Their life is so miserable. Well, unfortunately, back when, many few decades ago, people died of old age. My grandpa lived to be 97, just didn't wake up one day. He died in 1982, I think, like that. And but these days, people they're fading away. Even Alzheimer's disease is so high. I think it's 1 in 3 now. It's going to be 1 in 2 by 2050, I think. And diabetics, there's 60% of the people in the United States are diabetic or pre-diabetic, which means a life of miserable problems with limbs, preventable blindness, kidney failure, also increases your risk of heart disease and cancers. And so much of it's preventable, but nobody really thinks about it till almost it's too late. Very few people do. The majority of the people, well, wow, Allison's mom's gonna be 101 in 2 weeks. Fantastic. Same with my ex-mother-in-law. Birthday's the 21st of June. She'll be 101. Healthy as an ox. So when we take a look at our goals right now, and I started off talking about the different types of illusions that we have. When you dream and you're not doing it in clay, or you're not doing it with sticks or with pencils, you're doing it as a spiritual being. You're creating this in your own space, and that space can be huge. I mean, if you just take a look at and imagine, as you're thinking about of a huge field or a huge forest or a massive building, or a huge ocean, and you can see, feel, taste that ocean, smell it right there. You're not centered inside your brain in a little teeny pinpoint. You are actually expanding out of that thing we call a body and creating this in your own space. This is how inventors create things. They used basically geometry in their minds without having to do it in the actual physical universe. And then they can create it, recreate it, draw it, and then create it in the physical universe. Pretty crazy. And then the last one is delusion. Delusion is where people don't even know what day of the week it is or where they are. They're living in some other world as the effect of what's happened to them in their life. So many people often come in and they're, and God bless them, but they're still hanging on to something that happened to them in a childhood 40, 50 years earlier. And, it's like, I got it, that I understand that, but what has stopped them from actually being able to move through that and let it go, and then decide that they're going to expand beyond the creation? these are things that you can, and this isn't my expertise, but they're things that I believe that you can cut these strings that are holding you down. You just have to go through the whatever process it is, but sometimes not the big major ones, but there's a lot of things people hang on to that remind them of something in the past. And those things that you hang on to can anchor you in the past. So if you have, let's say, 100 little circles of attention that you can use to move forward in life, and 70% of them are all tied to things in the past that you can't let go of, you only have 20% of your available brain power or spiritual power, whatever you want to call it, to move forward. So if you can free up, let's say, another 30% of your attention and put that toward in the present time and put that to your goals and dreams, you might achieve a lot more. It's like a governor on a car back in the 80s when I think it was President Nixon made the speed limit 55 miles an hour. All these huge engine cars have these governors on the carburetor. So you, no matter how far you push the gas pedal down, they wouldn't go above 50 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. And we have these governors on our own, ourselves, in many different ways. A lot of them can be in relationships, whether it's a family relationship or, with brothers and sisters, moms, dad, uncles, aunts, or whether it is in a sexual partner relationship. And if you have preconceived ideas in this arena, it could really affect your ability to be happy in life. I take a look at the fact that 50% of the people in the United States are marriages end in divorce. Who are our role models? We're coming out of the Victorian age of chastity in the 1837 to 1901 or something, and then Sigmund Freud up until 37 said sex is the whatever it is of all evil, the seed of all evil. And so we've learned to hide these feelings because it's been down through the ages of something to not talk about. And not only that, but if you don't have good role models in your life, if your parents, like mine, fought and drank alcohol and never showed me holding hands or being happy, where's my role model? Thank God I had my cousins, Uncle Jerry and Aunt Elaine, who were childhood sweethearts. They're still alive. They're in their 80s. And they're some of the happiest people I've ever seen. And I've looked to them as amazing role models for that type of thing. Unfortunately, today, their oldest daughter, Mona, passed away this morning about 2-3 hours ago. And she was one of my favorite cousins, amazing, amazing person. We shared a lot as families. Both of our older brothers died in 1970s. Well, my brother in 1965 and her brother Duke in, I think, 1968. And that was devastating for our family, However, I moved forward, my sister moved forward, my dad moved forward, my mother allowed it to kill her. She ended up dying of cancer. The Orton family, they did great. They moved up to Alaska, and they've got generations of kids up in Alaska doing well. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you can take incidents that happen in your life and you can have them allow you to move forward, or you can have them hold you back. And I believe that if you decide that you want to have them move forward, then you've got to be able to look at them and take some of the regret out of them or the sadness and rechannel it to purpose. And I think I was 9 when my brother died. He was 16. And I at that moment, it was terrible. I watched the whole thing happen. But I decided I'm going to create a life. Of course, I didn't do it very well for many years. I broke my back. I was a drug addict. I couldn't read till I was 28 years old. had to be carried into a chiropractor at age 20 because I hadn't walked in 3 weeks, and no drug my friends would give me worked. Got my first adjustment, changed my life. I walked out of that place. Still took me another 8 years to actually figure it out. But there was a little bit of a glimmer of hope that allowed me to realize that I could create something different for myself than being stuck as a victim of my own cause, which was that I fell out of a tree, the branch broke, and I fell and broke my back. We are all victims of our own cause. You know, we've done more to stop us than anybody else has ever done to stop us. So, you know, I think you just got to give yourself some credit and go, you know what? I'm not going to allow me to stop me anymore. Whoever else did something to you, they're probably gone out of your life a long time ago. So the only thing that's holding you back now is you. And it's a decision away. Maybe a very difficult decision, and I might not be making being very popular today. But, you know, some of you might, even if one person out there figures out a way to change their lives or somebody they care about, then it's worth it for me to, you know, kind of push people's buttons a little bit, because I just see too many people that are still so affected by what happened the last 2 years. They are still cautiously walking like there's somebody is going to jump on them. And it's you know, we've really got to change this. We've got to help people be creative, especially people, you know, people in the United States have the greatest opportunity in the world. We have the greatest opportunity. There's still many, many immigrants coming into this country and doing far better than the people that have been here for a couple generations are doing. It's unbelievable. It's all what you think about and what you want to do about. What you think about, you talk about. What you talk about, you bring about. So if you're talking about how everything went wrong, if you're talking about why you can't do something, if you're talking about who did something to you, you're a victim of your own thoughts. So here, knock it off. There's a great skit. Gosh, I'll think of his name in a minute, but it's a really good script called Stop It. And it's by a comedian. Somebody might remember who he is who's watching on Facebook and could type it in for me. But it's really fun. Just look up the skit, Stop It. And I think you'll figure out how to do that for yourself. Bob Newhart, Stop It, Bob Newhart. Check it out. It's funny as heck, but you know what? It will change your life if you watch it and you apply it to yourself. There's this woman, and she comes in to see Bob Newhart, who's some kind of therapist. And he goes, yes, can I help you? And she goes, yeah, I came to you because, well, I'm afraid to be buried in a box. And he goes, what? I'm afraid to be buried in a box. And then Bob Newhart goes into this whole thing, and it's hilarious. But this woman was being held back by some fear that she had that was ridiculous. Now, none of your fears are ridiculous, but this one will let you reevaluate your own fears and your own stops and your own barriers and go, gosh, can I do something different? Can I move forward? Can I create something different in my life? Now, you know, I'm a chiropractor and I've been in practice for 35 years. I've treated almost 20,000 people now. And I've learned so much by listening to all of what they are talking about regarding relationships, love, loss, pain, physical difficulties. And one thing that I've come to realize is that the body has an incredible innate intelligence to heal itself. And all you need to do is change your mind. Your innate intelligence is going to work whether you want it to or not. You don't have a choice. However, if you want it to work better, remove the distractions, remove the chemicals, remove the many different things. Now, you know, if you have a medical condition, you've got to work with your medical doctor on that. So don't start stopping all of the medications that are bypassing your body's own ability to heal. Now, you might have done some damage that needs to be repaired otherwise. But anyway, we're going to take another break. This is Dr. McCollum. Completely off the shelf talk today. I hope it's a little enjoyable for you on this amazing day, and I hope it helps you go out and create something awesome for yourself. I'll be back in just a minute.
Hey, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I have this amazing patient, Lauren, here, and she had a few things to say.
Hi, I'm Lauren Spencer, a local realtor, and I've been seeing Duncan for years now. I had a biking accident and he's been adjusting me since then, and it's been amazing. But lately I've had trouble with my feet, and I'm an avid walker, avid biker, avid golfer, and my feet were aching all the time. And I tried Duncan's TRT machine, which is an amazing stem cell machine that rejuvenates the cells. And my feet, I've had like 3 or 4 sessions with the machine, and my feet are like new, no aches, no pains. It's a miracle. So I really highly recommend Duncan and his chiropractic services, but also that TRT machine. You got to try it.
Wow, thanks, Lauren. That was awesome. So we still have the $49 special. Come on in and see if it works for you. Thank you.
This is Dr. Duncan McCollum here, and I have Pastor Mark with me. He came in and experienced the stem cell machine, the TRT machine, and he wanted to just go ahead and tell you a little bit of his experience. Yeah, I injured my knee years ago from sports and being dumb, and after the first stem cell treatment, after the very first one, I could do a full knee squat, and doctors told me that we want to replace your knee, and my knee would just ache just from sitting, and you probably experienced that if you have knee problems, but now, no ache, I can walk without pain, and when I sit, I have no pain, and I just love it. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's terrific. When we looked at your x-rays, your discs and your knees look pretty good, too. Yeah, they're improving so much. I just love it. I can't wait for my treatment every week. Highly recommend it to anyone. So you'd recommend they do the $49 special to see if it will work for them? Oh, absolutely. That's what drew me in with the $49 special. I thought, I got $50 to spend to just see, and it certainly has paid off. Call 831-459-9990. Thanks.
You can be free. You can be free. You can rise above.
Hey, everybody, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and this is Dr. Duncan McCollum. I'm glad to be here today. I'm talking about what you can do to change your life today. You know, you can create, imagine. I'm talking about imagining, your imagination, like I've been talking about Nikola Tesla, and how he could, in his mind, create spatially huge engineering projects or machines or things that have never existed on this planet before. And then he would go build them exactly as he imagined them, and they would come true. You know, they would work. And I'm talking about what we do with our limitations, with the way we think. I want to help people start to take a chance and start to imagine again. I talked early on today about when I was a young kid, how I had a moment where I was bigger than the universe. I was playing out in my front yard, and it was huge, and I could see so much. And then my mom called me to lunch. And I went, "Boo." But you know, and we have this incredible innate intelligence inside of it. And oh, your mother's birthday's on the 28th. She'll be 101. My mother-in-law's on the 21st, I believe, will be 101. A whack in the World War II, amazing lady, Beth Montgomery. Happy birthday, Beth. So at any rate, I did see something come across the screen during my little break there about, I believe, somebody who passed away, or a family member passed away due to angiosarcoma. Yeah, you know, we have to start before it's too late. You know, I mean, a lot of people, I'm trying to get that call out. Let's do something now. Don't wait for the disease to settle in so bad. And for some, it may not be possible. However, I've heard, and we've all heard of amazing, stage 4 cancers turn around. I have not seen that exact thing myself from somebody I know, but I've heard about it. The mind is amazing. It takes a lot of work. I call this show "The Mind is a Terrible Thing" unless you know how to use it. So if we can start to really take a look at a goal, now not a financial goal because we've either hit them or we haven't, but let's look at a health goal. How do you want to feel in the next 5 or 10 years? I have so many people come in their baby boomers who can't get on the floor to play with their grandkids, or they can't lift their grandkids, or they can't walk, or they're in pain, or they have diabetes, or lung issues, or what have you. And unfortunately, it's like you have this vehicle, a new car that you got, and you never maintained it correctly. You thought you maintained it. You washed the outside and you vacuumed every once in a while, but you forgot about what was going on inside, and you never changed the oil filter or the air filter, and the battery cables were getting corroded. And then one day it doesn't start, and you go, what the heck happened to my car? Well, this is what's happening to aging bodies that are getting sick, is they're letting things go too long, and they're eating food that is terrible. I heard a lady earlier on the show, I think it was Vern's show, talking about, she'd ask people what's the difference between organic food, GMO food, and conventional food. And a lot of people didn't know the difference. Organic food is, there's certain guidelines that you can't use toxic chemicals on these foods in order to kill the bugs and or fertilizers that are dangerous just to make them look good. And there's a lot of debate on, what is really being used and not there. But we know conventional food is liberally sprayed with things like glyphosate, which is a terrible poison. It gets into our blood-brain barrier, it breaks it open, so heavy metals, molds, and hidden infections can get in there. A lot of the coffee we drink has mold on it. A lot of the foods that we get has mold on it. Especially the grains that has been, even when you buy conventional grain, if it hasn't been sterilized and fortified because they took all the vitamins out, then it's dead food. And you eat dead food and you're not going to reap any benefits from it. Your body has an amazing survival potential. Just take a look at a tree up in the middle of the Sierras that was a little seed that fell on top of a rock and settled right into a little divot in that rock. And then 100 years later, that tree is huge and it cracked that rock in half because a little tiny root got started and went down into that rock and split it open. So life has an amazing desire to live. I see my cousin Joanne Dillinger on here too, who's I believe 93. So awesome to you. And and the McCollums have a great longevity, don't they, Joanne? But and the truth of the matter is, why do some family genetic lines live so much easier than others? Well, there's a lot to that, and part of it is our genetics. The other part is how susceptible we are to the toxins in the environment. We all have lead, mercury, cadmium, aluminum, all these things in our bodies because they're in the food, they're in the products that we put on our body, and in the mouth. We come from the lead generation. It comes down 4 generations through mom's umbilical blood. So, there's a lot we can do for our health. I'm getting off back into my old scenario of health again, where I was really wanting to talk about, a decision to do something to change, if it's your health or your happiness or your relationship with your kids, or so many times we live off of old habits or old insults. I got to tell you, an amazing thing happened to me this morning. It was, I don't know what's going on with the planets, but I have a neighbor, and for some reason, this neighbor has just decided he hates me. And I don't think I've really done anything to make that happen. I probably have, but I mean, I'm a pretty amiable guy. I try to get along with people, but it's been for months, or actually years, he's hated me. And from what I could tell. So oftentimes when I walk by, I don't say anything to him. I just let him be who he wants to be. Well, I'll be darned if I'm not walking by today and he starts talking to me. And he was talking for 15 minutes and I couldn't get away. And I'm just going, wow, here's a guy that, I just figured I probably won't have a word with him because every time I do, he gets mad at me. So miracles can happen. I don't know what the heck happened today, but it was really refreshing. So thank you, neighbor, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but I really appreciate you recognizing me as a person today. That was nice. Maybe there's somebody that that you should go recognize. Maybe there's somebody that you've been holding a grudge against. And maybe just opening up that little communication line could change your life dramatically. Maybe it's a family member. As I mentioned, my cousin Mona passed away today. And luckily I'd spoken to her in the last couple years, but I speak to her mother often and her sister often. Her uncle Jerry is my favorite uncle. I think he's my only living uncle anymore, because I'm elderly myself. I'm up into the 66 range. Oy vey, sexagenarian, that is. So at any rate, I hope this show today has been a little bit different for you. I thought I would just talk about something different because you guys who do listen to me regularly. I always appreciate when you tell me that thank you, and I'm always open to suggestions. Allison says young. That's right, Allison. Thank you. We went to high school together and probably elementary school. So I just want to get back to Nikola Tesla, and probably one of the greatest inventors that ever dreamed. And I would encourage you all to dream. Get out a piece of paper and write down different areas of your life, your finances, your work, your family, each one of your kids or parents or cousins or uncles, close friends, your health, your possessions, whether you own a house or not, you're renting, and just take a look and really just take a look at it as it is today, present time. Just be honest with yourself and go, how is this working? How could I improve it? Do I want to improve it? Is it worth my time? Scratch it off the list, or go, okay, I'm gonna think about that, and go down each one of those and decide whether they're worth keeping, giving away, or throwing away. Some stuff is not worth keeping. There's an interesting thing I mentioned earlier about, you might have 100 attention units, so to speak, or little abilities to put onto a project. And this is called multitasking for women. For men, it's impossible. You have to do one thing at a time. But what if 2/3 of them were tied up in past disappointments, past losses, past arguments, past diseases, family quarrels, job things that didn't work out right, sports that you never won, losses. And those are stuck there in time. They're not available to you because they own you. You're stuck with them. So this is where you can take a pair of scissors and cut each one of those lines to many of those things that are serving you not at all. And what if you succeeded in getting one attention unit into the future? Would that be cool? So it's a process worth doing. It could help you with your health, help you with your life, because you might clean up your stuff going on in your brain. You might clean up your environment. You might clean up your friendships. You might clean up your future. So it's something worth doing, perhaps. The more you can dream, the greater your life will be. I think that we need to dream more as a country. We need to really take a look at the reality of what's happening in this world. There's so much baloney in the news, politicians on both sides. You know, it's like the deep, deep, deep hidden agendas that probably won't get revealed in our lifetime. But I hope that you take a chance to do something about it. Dream big. You can always email at info@McCollumWellness.com, info@McCollumWellness, if you have any thoughts or comments. I do have a podcast called McCollum Wellness Radio. It's a podcast. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. Please go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum. I have many shows up there. You can rewatch this show and a lot of shows up there. And I appreciate you sharing what I'm doing with other people. I love coming here Saturdays, 1 to 2. I really appreciate KSCO for giving me this platform. David's in there running the show in the background. He's doing an awesome job. And you know, your life can be different. So dream big. You can oh, I know what I was going to say. The more stuff you hang on to from the past, we think we have that stuff, but you know, the thing is that it's holding you back. It's holding you back from getting things that you want to do. So give them up. Find out, you know, they might be emotional attachments to you, but what if you were to put all of your attention into the future? What, you know, full steam ahead with your life. Set some new goals. Shake off some of the dust. Get some of the old baggage out of the way and start a new life. I'm not saying leave anything behind. Augment what you want to keep. And then maybe ignore those things that you don't. Give them away or throw them away. And it might be a physical thing or it might be a thought. So hopefully this has been helpful today, if not somewhat interesting. We're going out with You Can Be Free by Steve Thunderberg, sung by Lindsey Graham. Thank you, not Lindsey Graham.
Whenever you're lonely and no one's around.
Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Just try to remember
Joanne.
the strength that we found. Oh, yeah. We can be free.
KSCO AM 1080.